Hello, and welcome back to True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
Back in studio. We just had our first Patreon exclusive episode last week with John Wayne Gacy. If you didn't hear that, I'm sorry, you were excluded.
Oh, wow.
No, for $2 a month, you can go check that out right now.
Yeah.
You can listen to it as long as it's going to be up there. So
How long is it going to be up there?
I don't know.
Maybe forever.
Until we stop podcasting.
I don't think anything you
We're
put on
80
the
years
internet
old with a cane.
ever goes away.
Never. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be. Maybe if we quit podcasting, it'll just be free all of a sudden.
Oh,
So just wait for that day.
okay.
But yeah, for $2 a month, you can go check that out, and there's other rewards and all that stuff. But if you don't want to, we're doing free episodes, 3 out of 4 a month. So this is one of them.
That's right.
So
And thank you to all our new patrons.
yeah, thank you to all the new Patreons, all the old Patreons, everybody that's paying us to do this.
I'm just
bullshit.
going to call them patrons. I'm not going to call them Patreons. That's
It's
too
a
much.
fake word, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never heard it up until this service
Patreons.
came along.
It's one of those words like workaholic.
Right.
There's no workahol.
Ready to get into this free episode?
I am.
All right, let's do it.
These two poseurs were creating a fantasy in their mind that was more compelling than the reality of their everyday lives. And the other thing is it has a masturbatory quality, and that they're very sexually charged and enlivened by whatever's an extension of their own fantasy, their own thoughts, their own images of themselves, trying to relive their glory days, that first high, that first youthful sexual experience. And they are not bonded to anybody in their lives, and that's what we see with perversions, that the person is more connected to like a foot, a chain, a feather, a fetish, an image, words on a keyboard, than they are to the reality of the people around them.
All right, our story this week is an epic tale of catfishing. It's
nice.
a crazy story of a love triangle. It's a lot of things all combined in one. That's why this one just caught my eye when I was looking. I was researching. I was looking through a
Yeah.
lot of your guys' suggestions. We've done suggestions. We appreciate all of them. We get like, I don't know, 3 suggestions a day for
A
shows
lot,
at least.
yeah.
And so we look into all of them. You know, we give them all their credit. And but I just found this one, and it just stuck out to me because I was looking for a good true crime documentary.
Right.
And because I've seen some, and I really enjoy them, and I wanted a new one to check out. And I looked up this one, and it seemed to get great reviews, so I checked it out, and
Yeah.
it was really entertaining.
Also, what I appreciate about this one is it brings it into the 21st century a little more.
Yeah.
It's a little more relatable.
So many of our
Can
episodes
happen
are in
now.
the 70s, true crime vans
Yeah.
crawling around everywhere, creeper vans everywhere.
That's right.
You know, fucking Skinner playing on the radio, and
Yeah. All that good stuff.
Zeppelin.
Yeah. Although it's still playing on my radio.
And so we're up in the internet age for this episode.
Right.
And this is a tale of what can happen, what can go wrong when you're living a fake life on the internet. So
Dum dum dum.
let's dive into it. The documentary, let's give that credit real quick. It was called Tall, Hot Blonde from 2009. It was made by Barbara Schroeder. You watched it, right?
I did. Either I watched that or I watched the movie. I may have watched the
Oh,
movie.
don't tell me you watched the movie. You might have messed up.
No, it's fine.
I'm
I
sure
read
it
things.
is. You raised your voice. Yeah, it's fine.
No, I read things.
Okay.
I read things too.
The documentary was the main source of research for me because it was very informative. It
The
was,
documentary wasn't on YouTube, Lauren.
you need a fire stick.
God damn it. I'm saving up for our fire stick.
Okay. So we need some more patrons so Michael can actually study properly. He's only got YouTube to his disposal.
Oh, come on.
All right. Well, just to be clear, too, Tall Hot Blonde is all one word. It is TalHotBlond, and it's because that was basically the screen name for a person in this story.
Yeah.
So we're going to start up in Clarence, New York, which is up near Buffalo. If you're from Clarence, big shout out to our Clarence people. I don't know if there's any Clarence listeners. I've never
What's
heard
up,
of it.
Clarence?
Yeah, what up, Clarence? There's a 47-year-old man named Thomas Montgomery. He was a U.S. Marine. Records show that he qualified as a sharpshooter. He never officially trained as a sniper or saw any action. He ended up
You know,
that was his golden
it's
years.
a small stretch.
Yeah, he was one of those guys like in the small football towns where it's like, oh, we made state, and like he never stops like looking at his class ring and
Still
like
wearing that championship ring.
living in his Marine past. That's all he
Right.
wanted to be, was like he wanted to see combat more than anything.
Had the dog tags under his shirt.
Yeah. And now, when we pick up this story, he's 47 years old. He's got 2 daughters, a wife that he's been with for a long time. And boredom kicks in. He got this job, this day job at Dynabraid. It's a factory where they make
Which he'd been there for years, too.
He'd been there for years. He's just plugging away, doing a boring factory job where you insert things into machines. And basically, the company makes pneumatic air tools, like
Oh, nice.
little drills and stuff for working on cars and all that stuff.
Okay.
And when he comes home from night, he'd start to get into this habit of jumping on the internet and playing games, online games. And this is
Yeah, well, I mean, he started with like a monthly poker night with friends.
right.
Like he would just meet a couple of guys from work or whatever, and then one of them mentioned, oh, why don't you join us? Why don't you join us tomorrow night for a hand? And they're like, oh, you playing again? They're like, no, online. We play every night.
Right. And this is around 2005 we're talking about. So it's,
Right.
I mean, the it's huge during this time, but the online gaming stuff is still kind of in its rudimentary stage.
Yeah,
There was a
yeah.
website that he was playing on almost every night, which was called Pogo.com, and it actually brought me back down memory lane because my mom
yeah?
was obsessed with Pogo.com back when I was in high school, and I was into Pogo.com as well. It was just a
Right.
bunch of games. You could play poker on there, just silly little games, and there was chat board on the side where you could, talk back and forth with people
Right,
that just
talk
made...
shit.
Yeah, talk shit. Mainly, that was trolling people.
Right. Trolling began in,
Yeah,
in those chat rooms.
and there was no identity behind your persona on there. It was your own screen name that you made up, and
Right.
his, of course, being that he was living in the past, was his screen name was MarineSniper,
Right.
and we mentioned his wife. He'd been married for 17 years. I thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah.
And his marriage was kind of struggling during this time. He was impotent. They weren't having sex at all.
Right.
He had lost desire for her, and he was just kind of living vicariously through his online persona on this Pogo.com, which is pretty pathetic. Spending more and more time on there. He's playing a lot of blackjack on Pogo.com. And in May of 2005, he's actually, this is creepy when I found this out watching the documentary, is that he was not only on Pogo.com and he had his own MarineSniper name and all this stuff, and he's in chat rooms.
Yeah.
But he's going into the children's gaming rooms. So he's a 47-year-old man, and he's
Right.
inside this kid's room talking to kids. And he's like,
Oh.
in the documentary, he's like, they interview him throughout the whole thing, and he's talking. He's like, yeah, I just talk to people. I wouldn't disclose like anything about myself personally and my kids or anything like that, but I would tell them anything else, and we would just talk. And I'm like, and then it comes out that he's in the kids' room. So I'm like, so you're just talking to kids all night,
Well, maybe. Or he's talking to a bunch of people just like himself. They go into kids' rooms.
right?
Bunch of 40-year-olds in there thinking they're talking to 13-year-olds.
Exactly. And so in May of 2005, posing as a young, handsome Iraq-bound Marine, he entered a teen chat room on Pogo.com. And in there, he started up a conversation with another person on that was...
So that's interesting. So he was going to these rooms on purpose. And this is what the documentary was
Yes.
saying. It's funny because the movie portrayed like he was just this wholesome man with no issues, and then it just bling, got a text one day from TalHotBlond, and
No, he's a
it's like,
creep.
hey, you want to talk?
No, he was a creep that was going to
So
children.
he was searching them out.
Yeah. And so he starts talking to TalHotBlond on this, while playing blackjack on the little side thing. It's just
Right.
like, hey, how are you? Hey,
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you? And that started us down this wormhole that is this episode. And so he decided, because I guess TalHotBlond immediately brought up like, hey, you're in the wrong room, because she saw the name.
Yeah,
Marine
if you're old
sniper.
enough to be a Marine at all.
Like, you're too old to be in this room. This is a kid's room. And so he decided at that moment that he was going to say he was 18 when really he was 47, as we
Wait,
mentioned.
why is there a kids' room on a poker site?
I don't know, right? And
doesn't
one
make
thing he
sense.
mentioned is when she said that, he started thinking about all the internet sting operations where people would pretend to be young kids and they
Right.
were actually someone older, and they would bust them for like flirting with young kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's why he decided to say he was 18. He said, I thought of all those different stings and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
maybe that's a big reason why those kids' rooms exist, is for cops to catch creeps like him. Anyways,
Movie left a ton of shit out. I should have studied.
yeah, I watched it about 3 times. Seriously, it's entertaining. Before long, the flirtation became a romance. He learned that her real name was Jessie. She was going to high school. She lived in West Virginia. She was a senior. She was playing softball and basketball. She was kind of like a star in the sports that she played. She had a traditional family where her dad was at work all day and her mom was a stay-at-home mom. They began, it went from flirting to, it went beyond that, where they would start sending photos to each other. He sent one photo. It was basically him 30 years ago in his
Right.
Marine outfit.
He's like 20 years old at the time, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
I think he was 18, 19, 20, somewhere
Okay.
around there when he had first joined the Marines. And
Yeah.
it was So this 30-year-old,
like him in his dress blues.
They showed the photo in the documentary. It's like, how did she not know that this is some old-ass photo?
Yeah, he even scanned
It's
it
all
in.
faded and shit. It's like borderline black and white.
I guess people were still scanning in old photos then, though, in 2005.
Yeah, you had
they were
printers
still
and scanners
scanning
and
in.
stuff. I
They were
mean,
still scanning in photos. What I'm saying is they weren't like just taking it straight from their phone and boom.
Yeah.
You know?
I just realized I'd be about the same age as Jesse, I guess, because it was 05, 06.
Yeah, you're a
that
few
was
years older than me.
I graduated
I'd be-
06.
I was 15.
Whoa, even better for him. Okay, so she's sending photos of herself. Some of them are not pornographic, they're not nudity, but they're like on the fringe. Like there's swimsuit photos. There's like even like a couple that are like almost upskirt photos.
Whoa.
What's strange is that they're not like self-taken. They're obviously not self-taken photos.
Right.
Someone else is taking these photos.
Oh. That's,
Which I don't know how big selfies were in 05. Were they a thing at that point?
yeah, but it was a real
'Cause phones
hassle,
were
like buying that disposable
shitty.
camera and then having to crank that thing between every picture.
We had cell phones with cameras, Michael. Calm down, guy.
Oh, damn. You had to wait for the Polaroid, and you're like, shit, the lighting's not that good here.
Right. So she's sending him these photos. Like we mentioned, he sent her the 30-year-old picture of him as a Marine.
Yeah.
He told her that this is where it starts getting weird. He's kicking into his alter ego, which was his younger self, his
Right.
more patriotic, heroic side, named Tommy.
Who he envisioned being
This is
at this
who-
age, I think.
Exactly. This is who he wishes he was.
Yeah.
But he never became that, you know. So he starts telling her his name was Tommy, and he was a young Marine headed off to boot camp. He even fed her sob stories about his mother dying when he was young and that he was suicidal. He's basically acting like a child, like a young teenager. You know, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, a lot of young teens just should not have social media because they just make asses of themselves. You know, it's constant, like,
Well, I think
cries for attention. That's what their whole conversations were just like, give me attention, give me attention. Give me
Right.
attention.
Well, I think it's kind of not fair because as a teenager, you're like in one of the most vulnerable times in your
Exactly.
life. And then
You're going to be judged later on for the stupid shit you posted when you
right,
were
and
15.
you're looking, regardless of what time period you grew up in, you're looking for some sort of camaraderie or some
Right.
kind of what am I looking for?
Credit.
Attention or credit, yeah,
Yeah.
for the way that the way that you are, the way that you're living.
Right.
And nowadays, it's easier to find than ever.
Yeah.
But then again, it's also easy to be trolled or to find douchebags
taken
and shit
advantage of.
online. Yeah, it's you know.
Yeah,
It goes both ways.
I'm glad that during high school, which
Right.
she had a MySpace, everybody had a MySpace during this time.
Right.
We're going to talk a little bit about MySpace during this, which was the precursor to Facebook.
Yeah.
I had a MySpace. I had my own custom page.
MySpace, Lon?
Back in my day, we had MySpace.
MySpace.
I had a custom MySpace page with like, you know, that was the one cool thing about MySpace. You could
That was
customize
cool.
everything.
Let me tell you my favorite thing. You could put a song on it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you would
although
go to-
every time I went to somebody else's page, I'm like, "Fuck your song." I'm pausing that shit.
Exactly. So my
only
songs
into
were
my
always
song.
the coolest.
I wouldn't have listened to it, so I wouldn't have known.
You just immediately go to pause.
Unless
before
I
you
read
say-
it and I'm like, "Okay, I know that song. I guess I'll let your song play."
Even if it was your old band.
Yeah, My old band. That didn't exist in 2005.
Right. I'm just thankful that shit died so hard. MySpace died such a like hard death that it's not like no one goes there to see the dumb stuff that I used to post on there.
But apparently, you still
it's
have
like
a
gone
MySpace,
with the
though. It's still
ethers.
there, though.
It
You can
is.
still get on it,
It is.
but I have no clue how to get on mine.
No. That's my point. Is
Yeah.
that no one could find. I mean, they could try, but it would just be like, okay, good luck. And it would almost be weird. It'd be like a time capsule to go on there and see the dumb shit I was posting. Then, you know what I'm saying?
It would be cool. I've tried.
Yeah.
I can't remember my password.
Anyways, they even were like at sometimes they were calling each other. Like
Right.
I'm guessing when his wife was asleep,
Yeah.
you know, and her
It was
parents were
weird
asleep
how
or whatever.
in the movie it depicted them like disguising their voices, trying to sound younger, and
Yeah.
they're trying to use more hip lingo and stuff. It was
Yeah.
so weird. He was
Yeah.
like sitting on the bathtub talking to her.
Yeah. They're sharing dark secrets, sending letters. She at one point sends her panties to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's some quotes from their chats. I love you always and forever, Tommy. Jesse wrote that. I have never felt this way, he responded. Tommy was later on off to war, supposedly, in Iraq.
Yeah.
So this is how far it's gone, this fabrication he's come up with for her to it's partly for his own like fulfillment, you know, it's
Yeah.
for him to like feel good, like I'm doing the shit that I never did. And,
Yeah,
like, this
exactly.
person's believing that I actually did it.
Right.
And then it's also to impress her. So
Mm-hmm.
he starts talking to Jesse as Tommy's father, while Tommy is supposedly fighting in Iraq. So he also makes this version of himself, which is the real 47-year-old version of himself, and his son
Right.
is Tommy, who's off to war. So when Tommy's off at war, himself, Tom, is talking to her and saying, yeah, Tommy's off fighting, and like,
Yeah.
in the meantime, let's talk about how great Tommy is.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, basically.
How about my son? He's a hell of a boy.
And he said in the documentary, this is where he started realizing that maybe he was going too far with this, and this is becoming
Yeah.
sketchy. It's like
Yeah.
he's hearing her say like, Tommy, I love him so much, he's so great, and all this stuff, and he's going, shit, what am I doing here?
Man,
I've
it's
got
funny.
a family, like I need to stop this. This is a weird.
It's funny because the movie didn't really express any of that shit.
You
Expressed
watched-
like once he got addicted, he was just like, oh.
You watched a dramatical,
Yeah, it was
recreated
dramatic.
version.
It was the
with
dad from
actors.
Raising Hope. You ever watch that show?
No,
Burt Chance, the dad from Raising Hope.
I almost wish
Very
we-
underrated show.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Raising Hope,
all
man.
lost
You
on
got
me.
a freaking Fire Stick? Go look it up, Mister. I can watch anything.
There's too much other good stuff, man.
Well, it's underrated.
Like
I
this
think.
documentary that you didn't watch. I almost want to pause this and make you go watch it because it's just through the war. This is from
This
the
is better
horse's
this way.
mouth. This
I
is
know
from-
the story. Okay,
but it's from the horse's mouth. You're hearing this creep's.
you're hearing what
Version
he
of the
wants
story.
you to hear.
I
The
understand.
victor tells the story.
but whatever.
The victor
Okay.
writes history, Lauren. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. So
Let's hear Brian's point of view.
We'll get to Brian here in a minute. Thomas was completely addicted. He's chatting with Jesse into the morning hours on work days. So, like, for instance, he had to be work at like 7 a.m., say.
Yeah.
He'd be up, and this is per police records later on. They could pull all these chats and everything. They knew when he was working, and they knew
Right.
what. He would be chatting with her till 5, 6 a.m. when he had to be work at 7, having not slept the night before. That's how
Whoa.
addicted to, the attention he was getting from this young girl.
Right.
And it started to cross even into real reality because he promised when he got back from war that he was going to marry her. And he wrote on a note to himself on January 2nd of 2006. This is where it gets real strange.
Right.
So this is a note that was found later by the police in his work locker.
Yeah.
And it was
The
written
movie got that right.
by him to himself. The movie got that right?
Yeah.
It was written to himself by himself and kept in his locker. And it reads, on January 2nd, 2006, Tom Montgomery, 46 years old, ceases to exist and is replaced by an 18-year-old battle-scarred Marine. He is moving to West Virginia to be with the love of his life.
Wow.
That kind of tells the story of this guy's psychosis, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
There's a disconnect there. He's starting to actually believe that he's going to become his younger self, or a more glorious version of his younger self.
You think this came at like the perfect time to fuel a midlife crisis, though?
Yeah,
I feel like it did.
yeah, I agree. I mean,
I think most men are kind of out of their prime, late 40s. You kind of start on that decline. I'm not saying all. I mean, there's a lot of people that
I
stay
think
in
for
shape,
people
but
with weak character, the internet can be a real, like, attractive place for someone to be someone they're really not. To
right.
a guy like him who's not happy with the way his life's gone thus far, and like it's not looking good for the rest of it. He's never become this glorious war hero that he imagined himself being when he was younger. So he can dive into this world. The internet gives him an outlet for that.
Yeah. And not to mention, he didn't grow up with the internet, so he had to be who he was,
Whereas-
or who rumors said he was.
Right.
But now,
Right. Whereas before the internet came around, guys
Yeah.
like this would sit at their local bar with like 3 people and brag about how they were in war, and they'd be like, "Whatever, bro."
yeah, whatever,
Bullshit.
man. We know.
As
We all
they
come
said-
here and do the same shit, okay?
Right. As they sat there and like argued over who was in some movie from 1973, but they can't remember, so they just settle on whoever is like, "Oh, they can't Google it."
They take a vote.
Right. Anyways, so he basically tells her he's going to marry her when he returns from war. He writes that note that was found in his locker. He also is frequently bragging at work of his online relationship with this supposed teenager from the time that it began. He'd been bragging at work about this.
Right.
And in March of 2006, one of his daughters, this is where it's coming to a head. He's talking the whole time through the documentary, and this is basically his mindset during this whole thing, is that
Yeah.
it's like he knows this is bad. He knows it's not good for him. He knows it's not, because he's being snappy with his wife. Like,
Right.
the more the deeper he dives into this world of like needing attention from Jesse and like getting further involved with her, the worse his marriage is
Oh,
suffering.
of course.
And
They're
worse
not going to bed together. Or anything
no,
like
he's
that.
staying up all night, and every
Right.
time she walks over to him to say, "Hey, what do who you talking to?" He closes the laptop
yeah.
or like changes the tab on the page or whatever it is.
Right.
And so it's coming. He knows something needs to happen, but he's not going to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And he even says at one point he tries to walk away because he realized that he actually had an anxiety attack at one point, like a full-on anxiety attack. And he's like, I need to step away from this. And he said it just made it worse.
Yeah.
And so something needs to happen. Like something needs to break. And finally it does. In March of 2006, one of his daughters was using the computer when Jesse happened to instant message him. And
That's another thing I noticed that the movie got wrong. It showed that his wife was just being nosy and went through his computer.
That led to that. So his daughter goes to the mother and says, you know, some girl was trying to talk to daddy on the computer, and that's when she goes, you know, that's weird. He's been getting suspicious packages and stuff. That's it. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm going to go see what's in that package. Inside, she would find a trove of love letters, photos, and mementos from Jesse, including a pair of red panties. She sent Jesse a photo. She would later sit down and decide I've got to let this girl know who she's dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, so she sits down and she writes a letter to Jesse.
She dwelled on this shit for a little while too, man.
Yeah.
It really hit her hard. She was deciding on what to do.
She must have known something was going on. Like they had a loveless marriage at this point. They were just staying together for the kids, as Blink-182 would say.
Yeah.
And so she sits down and she writes a letter and sends photos of the family to Jesse and says, basically, this is a quote from the letter she sent. Let me introduce you to these people, she wrote. The man in the center is Tom, my husband since 1989. He is 46 years old. And at the end of the letter, she said, do not trust words you read on your computer. Needless to say, Jesse was horrified and broke off the relationship immediately. She sent a text message saying that she hated him, that you should be put in jail for this.
Wow. Harsh.
Is it? I mean, if you found this out, if you're an 18-year-old and you realize you've been catfished by a 46-year-old.
Well, technically, it's not illegal. She's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And then...
I guess, yeah. I mean, as far as the
and
jail
knowing the
for this-
whole story, it really pisses me off. But we'll continue.
Okay. Tom had discussed with a coworker named Brian on several occasions, you know, his relationship with Jesse. And also, Brian, on several occasions, had been in the same room playing on Pogo.com. I guess that's all anyone did during this time. Just go to work, come home, go on Pogo.com.
Hey, I'll see you on Pogo tonight. Hey,
hey, what are you doing tonight? Pogo? Okay, I'll see you on there. So they had been in the same room with Jesse, and
it's also good, important to note that Brian's quite a bit younger than Thomas as well.
Yes.
He's what, 20, early 20s?
We'll get into Brian in a second.
Okay.
So they had played together. He had known of Tom and Jesse's relationship. And basically what happened was when all hell broke loose and Jesse got this letter from Tom's wife, she thought back to the time that she knew that one of Tom's coworkers named Brian had been on there.
Right.
But she didn't know his name was Brian. She knew him by Beefcake, which was Beefcake was his online name for Pogo.com. His name was Beefcake.
Right.
It sounds ridiculous, people, but this is really the true story.
You can't make it up.
You got Beefcake, you got MarineSniper, and TalHotBlond.
TalHotBlond.
Yeah. The internet is not what it seems. We're going to find out more and more throughout this episode. So Brian, Beefcake was a guy named Brian. He was 22 years old, and he worked at Dynabraid with Tom. He was an aspiring industrial arts teacher. He was going to college. He was an accomplished high school athlete who'd coached Little League all summer and helped his father coach soccer. He was quiet and unassuming. That's how his cohorts described him.
It's not how they portrayed him in the movie at all, though.
No?
Portrayed him as like life of the party. He was like always cracking on everybody.
No,
Yeah,
it seemed to me through the documentary that he was like a quiet young kid that
interesting.
hardworking. He was going to Buffalo State College. He had actually purchased his own truck, a white Ford Ranger, paid cash for it with the hours that he had put in at Dynabraid, you know, running machinery and whatnot.
That's right.
At Starpoint High School, his athletic director named Tom Sarkovics, who coached him for 2 years, said he was just a nice kid, a gentleman. I don't think anybody could say a bad thing about him. Brian Barrett, after being reached out to by Jesse, then began corresponding with TalHotBlond. Neither him nor Tom made secret of the situation. They were both talking to her during this time. Right. He consoled Jesse online. She seemed to find a better fit with him and perhaps a way to strike back at...
A little closer in age.
Yeah. So he's 22, she's 18.
Right.
And also she's a trouble starter. She's a
She is,
shit
man.
starter online. She likes the attention.
Yeah.
She's looking at this as a new way to get back at
Right.
MarineSniper.
Yeah, she's just at home eating her popcorn.
I thought I
chatting
knew
people
you,
up.
MarineSniper. Thought I knew you. I've seen one photo. At 30 years old.
I thought I knew you.
We were gonna get married.
We were going to get married. I already picked out a dress.
Before long, Jessie was sending Brian her photos, and the two had become a cyber item.
Ooh, sounds official.
Cyber item. That's how my wife and I met.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she was short, hot brunette. I'm trying to think of my name. I'm not that clever yet.
You were definitely not a sniper.
Right. I'm TalHotBlond. That was me.
Damn it. With the E, though, at the end.
We became a cyber item. The rest is history.
Right.
Jessie was exactly Brian's type. It's kind of weird. Even Brian's parents would tune in during the documentary and talk about how this kind of what always Brian described as a perfect woman was what Jessie was claiming to be. Was,
of course.
young, blonde, athletic. He liked athletic girls that were also focused on school and whatnot. I mean, who doesn't like all those qualities?
Right.
Unless you're some kind of like blonde hater.
It's okay.
MarineSniper became consumed with jealousy, obviously, and he wasn't about to take it lying down. Jessie and Barrett took to the internet to make sure everyone knew Montgomery was a liar. This is where it gets kind of like sketchy. Is Jessie starts egging Brian on to start making a clown, making a fool out of Tom for like the whole way everything went down.
Yeah.
And so they start like taking screen captures and like posting them on the chat boards, and they start like saying that he's a creep. Anytime he's in the room with them on Pogo.com, they start telling everyone in the room that he's 47, he's a weirdo, he's a creep, yada yada.
Right.
It even goes as far as they print out some transcripts of the conversations that him and Jessie had. And Brian takes him to work and like makes sure like puts him in the mailbox so everybody
his
at work sees
entire
him.
workplace knew about this.
Yeah, I mean they had already known because freaking Tom was a jibber jabber at work and talking about how he had this relationship with this young girl online. So now they knew the whole story.
Right.
And it was just like I had a picture every time he walks into work, everybody just kind of looking over like,
oh God,
there's the weirdo. Those pretending to be 18 and a sniper online, and he's really just stamping some metal down on a machine. Oh. Not to hate on any factor workers. You're doing, somebody's got to do it. I'm saying. We do a thankless job too.
Yeah, that's true. And this is where the threats start coming in. This is where things start getting heated.
Yep.
Brian's actually quoted in sending Jessie a message saying, "Brian will pay in blood."
Yeah.
So,
so
things kind of start getting heated.
Yeah. So Tom and Jessie are on the outs. Brian's now in. They're now what do they call it? A cyber item.
They're a cyber item, and they're actually planning to meet in person now.
Yeah. This is a new step here. We're talking chat rooms and like just a lot of words and maybe a photograph sent here and there.
Yeah.
Brian finally gets Jessie to agree to meet in person.
Right, and I want to kind of put a bookmark here, and we'll revisit this later.
Okay.
Don't let me forget.
All right. Well, he's going down to visit her, and of course Tom finds out about this through the chats on Pogo and whatever else he's using to stalk her on the internet. MySpace.
Probably AIM.
AIM, yeah. You've got mail. So Brian's going to go down there. He actually does go down to West Virginia from New York, and of course she backs out when he starts getting closer. I don't know if he gets actually to her town or how it works. If he calls from a payphone or they have cell phones. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
If he calls her up as he's on his way, and anyways,
we sent her a page.
Send her a carrier pigeon. I don't know what they're doing back in 2005.
A telegram.
So he's on his way down there, and she starts to get worried about this. She backs out, and she turns it on him and says that he's only interested in her for sex.
Oh.
Flips it on him. Then she's playing mind games with both of these guys. This is more not really a love triangle. It's more just a girl playing with two dudes' emotions.
Yeah.
She then starts to drag Montgomery back into this, being Tom. The two agree to be friends again. Tom and Jessie being not Tommy and Jessie, but Tom.
Right.
She's
comes
now
clean about
accepted.
everything.
Yeah, he comes. She knows the truth. Tom's accepted the fact that he's an old man and he's fucking. His glory days are behind him. But they agree to be friends. Tommy was dead. There's a lot of weird conversations with them where it's like, I wish I could have Tommy back. She's saying to him, and he's like, that part of me is dead.
Oh yeah, that's so weird.
It's so douchey. It's just like, God, get a life, you two. Seriously. Like, you got a wife and kids, bro. Just like focus on them for 2 seconds. Get off the
Exactly.
internet.
Right.
Here's a quote. I hate him with a passion, and for 2 cents, I would eliminate him. Another threat towards
Did you say 2 cents or 10 cents?
10 cents. My
Oh,
bad.
okay. I thought you said 2.
A penny, no.
He
A
won't
dime,
Do it. He won't do it for a penny or 2 pennies. But hey, you throw a dime in there.
a nickel, no way.
No way. Hey, you better double it.
Give me a dime, I'll eliminate that bastard for what he did to me. He also said, payback is a motherfucker, Jesse.
Oh,
I am the ultimate weapon.
the phrase is a bitch.
I am a Marine. Now that he's comfortable with Jesse, basically, because they're friends again,
Right.
and Brian's on the outs, he's getting more comfortable saying how pissed he was that she betrayed him like this, and that his friend Brian, because they were kind of friends. We didn't really mention, but they weren't just coworkers. Tom was the older guy at work, had been there for a long time,
Yeah.
and Brian was a young kid, 22 coming in, and Tom was assigned with training Brian
Right.
at work, and they'd become kind of like buddies at work.
Right.
It's around this time that Jessie must have been starting to get bored again, because she starts getting bored with Tom, the old man, and wants to bring Tommy back. And so we've got a little conversation. It gives you a taste of their world. We got some just a quick conversation.
Yeah,
Between,
we should do parts.
Yeah, you want to be TalHotBlond or MarineSniper?
Well, you already said you were a TalHotBlond, so
Okay, I'll be TalHotBlond.
okay.
I ache to be with Tommy. Do you miss it, Tom?
More than you'll ever know. My heart aches to hear you call me your Tommy. I wish I could be that 19-year-old Marine for you.
I know, Tom. Nah.
End scene.
End scene. Tommy and Jesse end up having virtual chat sex. Now, I'm not sure if this had gone on in the past. They've been talking for a while now. We're talking 6+ months. They've been going back and forth.
Right.
And
this is before emojis, too. That's pretty impressive.
right. You're talking half a parenthesis and a colon, maybe a winky face, a semicolon if you're feeling clever. Get a winky face.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe a capital D and a.
Don't act like you ain't put thought in this, Lauren.
What are we talking about? They had virtual
chat sex.
Yeah, and the documentary actually showed the virtual sex they had, and it's cringeworthy, so I'm not gonna go through it. But you can imagine, it's no fun. I mean, real sex is so much better than and then he walked over to her and with a keyboard.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. He walked over. Hold on.
Hey,
Where's
man.
my keyboard? There we go.
Well, bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm done with this cyber sex.
He walked over. She was so hot for him. It's just like, come on.
Right.
You're killing me here. Here's my boner.
Okay.
So they have virtual sex. This is Jesse gets bored once again, begins toying with Tom once again. She then starts flirting with other guys online. The cyber sex must not have lived up to the hype. Must not have
Right.
been any good.
Yeah.
It's 47-year-old. He just couldn't get it done.
Well,
He couldn't even get it done cyber. He's impotent with the keyboard too.
Go there.
I like making fun of the killers.
All right.
That's a little foreshadowing for you. So she starts talking to other guys online in front of Tom, and he once again is enraged by her with this whole thing. And this is where, for the first time, he starts actually threatening physical harm upon her. He's threatened Brian in the past, and now it's going to her. And not
Right.
only her, but also people she loves. Like, he threatens her mom as well. He knows where she lives because they've been sending letters to each other. She sent her
right.
panties, and, she's a few states away. He's threatening to drive down and harm her mom or her.
Yeah.
And at this point, Jesse stops talking to him. 1 month later, so she doesn't talk to him for a whole month, and he doesn't hear anything. He's on Pogo, whatever. Maybe
Right.
they're on there and just avoiding each other.
Right.
A month later, Jesse's mother messages Tom and tells him to stop talking to her daughter, leave her alone. And at that point, Tom basically says the same thing to her. He says, tell your daughter to leave me alone as well.
Yeah.
A couple
Even though they weren't talking for a month.
Right.
And the mom's just
This
like,
is
hey,
out of nowhere.
by the way, leave her alone some
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Leave her alone some more.
Right.
You're doing a good job, but just keep doing
Just
it.
stop. Just stop doing what you stopped already. A couple weeks later, Jesse then came back around, and the whole conversation was like, it was douchey as well. It was like,
of course.
He's like, I thought you weren't supposed to talk to me. Your mom said to not talk to me. She's like, I don't care. She'll never find out. It's like some kind of cheesy movie.
Yeah. Like a Taylor Swift song.
Right. And then from there on, we get the same old them, Jesse and Tom. They're going back and forth from verbally abusive chats to cyber sex to, just their online relationship is day to day. It's just whatever the fulfillment they need for that day.
Right.
It had been about 2 years now at this point since they had first met online.
Wow, I've never seen each other before.
Crazy, right? So he's been neglecting his family for 2 fucking years.
I didn't even think about it.
I don't know where she gets all the time. She's 18. She's, graduating from school. She's in different sports, and yet
Where does she get the time, Lauren?
She seems to find just all the time in the world to sit here and chat with this, old man online.
It's absurd.
I don't know. It's a little weird. That's all I'm saying. And now the drama starts back up. If you haven't had enough yet,
They hate drama too.
Tom is doing his normal thing, is snooping around and stalking her on the interwebs. And he sees that Brian's name is on her MySpace page.
Oh,
and he loses his fucking mind.
No, she motherfucking didn't.
Right. He loses his mind. He blows up on her. He says, I can handle you with anyone but him. Jesse swears that her and Brian are not together. Tom basically says,
I see him. He's your number one friend right there, bitch. He's your number one friend.
That's a good point. They
You could pick your top friends on MySpace.
That was so fucked up that you could rate your friends
You
on
could
MySpace.
pick your top friends.
That was so mad. That dude, the amount of fights that started through that shit. Like, there probably were a lot of murders based off the top 5 MySpace friends.
It's like, hey, Tom, what are you doing? Well, I guess I'm doing pretty damn good for a number 3 friend, motherfucker.
Right. I mean, it come in handy, though. Like, if you had a flat tire and you call up your buddy, like, hey, bro, number 1 on MySpace. You gonna come help me with my
number
flat?
1, bro. You trying to get demoted in this?
Dude, I've got a communion tonight. I can't make it. That's rough. Number 2, Bo.
I say
Number
number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. I'm gonna make Tom from MySpace my number 1. Actual Tom.
Exactly.
That's how much I don't like you.
Right. So he lost his mind. Jesse swears, however, though, that they had talked, but they weren't together.
Right.
Tom wasn't buying it. Some more quotes. You'll pay for this. You better be very afraid now.
Ooh.
I told you what would happen if you and Brian got back together.
Shit.
At this point, Jesse's actually starting to get a little bit worried. She knows this guy's kind of a basket case.
Yeah.
And so she starts messaging Brian and saying, I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, watch out for Tom.
Tom
He's
has
kinda
made
losing
threats.
it.
Yeah, Tom has made threats your way. He saw that we're talking again. And he's kind of like, he's not too worried about it, but
Right.
he is. And that's where we find out
Well,
that
he's
there's
22 years old, man. 22-year-old beefcake, man. What's he got to be afraid of, right?
Well, did you know that there had already been an attempt on Brian from Tom at work in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Tom had already, when the first thing went down where Jesse and Brian started talking and Tom found out about it,
Yeah.
there was actually a moment where Tom in the parking lot tried to run Brian down in his truck and missed.
Oh, shit. I'm not talking about that. I was talking about the fight.
No. They had a fight?
They had like a little altercation.
Oh, okay, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. They had an altercation in like the locker room area. Because like Tom was sitting in there and he overheard Brian saying some shit.
It's all like he said, she said bullshit.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, some of the messages are going back and forth. The threats are made. Jesse warns Brian about this, and he says, yeah, he did try to run me down in the parking lot, but, I'm not too worried about it.
I'm not too worried about it. I mean, get hit by a car, how much damage could it possibly do?
Exactly.
Also, that should have been a fucking huge red flag. If somebody's willing to run you down in
the
the
work
public
parking lot.
lot,
Not only is
leaving work,
he threatening bodily harm upon you, but he's also, like, threatening his livelihood,
that's a
his
dude
job.
that's got nothing to lose.
Exactly.
He's got nothing in his mind. He's got a shit ton to lose, really. But in his mind, he ain't got nothing to lose.
He always wanted to go to war. Maybe this is his metaphorical war. This is his idea of modern warfare.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, running a dude down in the parking lot at work
Damn.
because he's cyber
More
sexing
like
your girl.
That's more like Grand Theft Auto.
Right. And so, and Jesse, after getting these threats from MarineSniper, ends up deciding it's time to cut ties with him. And during this time, we're leading up. We're in like the September of 2006 time here.
Right.
She would log off every time that MarineSniper would be in the same chat with her. He would start sending her messages like, "Hey, what's going on?" Trying to like, "Okay, play your games. Let's play your games. Let's see.
Yeah.
What do you got for me? What kind of drama are you gonna bring my way today?" And she would just every time she would log off. And this is where he gets desperate. This is where murder happens.
That's crazy because we all probably did that to people growing up. That one person signs in, you're like, BRB.
Right.
And then you just sign off.
The beauty with Xbox now is you can just appear offline. So you're just like,
Oh, yeah. That is cool.
someone you don't know gets on, and you can keep playing.
Right.
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 Back then you had to just sign out.
You had to
I guess
sign
I can't
out.
play no more.
Damn it.
So she starts basically just cutting him off. She cuts him off. And this is where it gets serious. On September 15th, 2006, Brian gets off work at about 10 p.m. He's parked all the way in the back of the parking lot.
Safe place, Brian.
His Ford Ranger is parked all the way back there. When he gets there, I don't know if he had realized it, but his rear passenger tire was flat.
Was it like slashed or was it?
Yes.
Oh.
But he gets inside the truck, and quickly thereafter he is approached from behind. It is Tom. He's wearing gloves. He's wearing a ski mask. And with his M1A1 military rifle, he fires into the driver window 3 times, striking him in the arm and in the neck. Brian dies instantly. The police would shortly thereafter quickly learn about the internet love triangle from coworkers at the job that they shared.
Yeah.
And, of course, when they read the transcripts of their online conversations, they see what's going on. Their immediate concern is Jesse. They're worried.
I'm sure the coworkers also told about the recent confrontations between the two. You know, they're trying to run them down in a parking lot or any problems they were having in the locker room or whatever. I'm sure they were.
Exactly.
Those were all brought up as well.
But it's much to do about Brian.
It was a pretty short trail leading back to Thomas at this point.
Yes. And there's not much they can do about Brian, but they're now worried about Jesse's well-being because she's the other person in the triangle here.
Right.
It's now no longer a triangle. It's a direct line between Tom and Jesse. And they're worried. So their first thing is to try and find Jesse. So they turn to MySpace, good old MySpace. They see the top friends list. They find Jesse in there. They locate her address, and they head to her house. They get to the house. They knock on the door, and a 46-year-old woman by the name of Mary Sheeler answers the door. This would be Jesse's mother. Now, they start questioning Mary about where her daughter's whereabouts are, and she says she doesn't know. And the police are like, oh, that's strange. She's your daughter. Shouldn't you know? And she seems very nervous. She's almost upset. She's on the verge of crying.
Right.
And it didn't take long, didn't take much questioning before she finally breaks down and says, I am Jesse.
Damn. So wait, there's no Jesse at all?
There is a
In
Jesse.
real life? Okay. About to say, man,
daughter
that movie
is-
really fucked me up, man, because it was a Jesse in that movie.
There is a Jesse. Jesse is her daughter. That's where all these
right.
photos came from. We mentioned how
Yeah.
all the photos seemed to not be
And
selfies.
also-
They were more just photos that someone else, and they were like, it seemed as though Jesse didn't
Right.
even know she was being captured in these photos. Like,
Right. Well, she thought her mom just wanted to take pictures of her.
Right.
Just to
My mom
capture the
does
moment.
this.
Also, a flashback to earlier in the episode when she sent him panties. That's fucking weird.
yeah. Those photos, it's like, man, these panties are a lot bigger than the photos look. And
No,
they're
I
granny
think
panties.
he sent her under.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
sorry. Mary sent Tom Jesse's underwear.
Honestly, Mary was that creepy. She was trying to get provocative photos of her daughter. She was taking photos of her
Right.
daughter at the pool in a bikini. There was even a photo where her daughter was like reaching up for something, and she got like an upskirt photo of her.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, creepy shit.
That is super
And
weird.
not only did they find that out, that she was in fact Jesse's persona or whatever. Jesse was unbeknownst to her, all of this shit was going on. She had no idea. It must have been a
Right.
shock to the system to find out that a person was killed
Right.
because 2 guys thought that she loved them, and she had no idea who these 2 people were because she was busy living her own real life.
Yeah.
Going to school, going to college, going off to college, playing sports, doing all this. Meanwhile, her creepy ass mom's
Yep.
held up in her house, pretending to be her online, sending pictures of her, sending her underwear out to creepy dudes. And not only was her mother sending photos and talking and chatting with these 2 guys, she was doing this with a lot of guys, the police would soon realize. They found that she had been chatting with a bunch of dudes and using her daughter as a way to get attention from all of these guys and putting her daughter at a real risk here.
Right.
You know, and what's crazy is Montgomery would end up being charged and would later plead guilty to the murder of Brian Barrett. In exchange for his plea, he would receive a 20-year sentence. He came clean, told him everything. Prosecutors in Buffalo would look for a way to charge Mary Sheeler with something, charge her with anything in the case, but concluded that she may have trampled all over the moral and ethical line, but she never crossed a legal line.
That's right.
So
Technically, she didn't, man.
now, I can't say that I've dug deep into laws and the way they've changed since then because it's been 11 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure but ultimately.
The internet has brought aboard a lot of new laws, though.
And I had initial opinions on this story, and I was pissed at Sheeler. I was pissed at Jesse's mom for what she had done because without her, this doesn't happen. Without her, Brian isn't dead. However, there are people all over the internet every day that are pretending to be people they're not, and you have to be wary. You have to be aware of when you are on the internet that you may not be talking to someone who's being truthful with you. You may not be talking to someone who's pretending to be someone else. You may be talking to someone who's trolling. There's a lot of trolls on the internet, and the internet is what it is. It's the Wild West. It's a lot of people just.
And I mean, we all do it to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, no one
all do it.
I don't think there's too many people that are fully who they are.
No, I mean, everybody puts good times on the internet.
Exactly.
You're not posting going, oh, look, my dog shit all over the living room and my bank account's negative. Right?
Right.
I mean,
you're
just
not
don't
posting
put
that you're
shit
a
up.
47-year-old loser. You're an 18-year-old sniper, you know?
Yeah.
We're actually like 62 years old and like we just got out of prison, me and you.
Oh, yeah.
But
well,
no, bro,
wow, way to blow our cover.
I'm 29-year-old podcaster. You know, I've got my life ahead of me. Not really. I'm 66. I'm a creep.
You sound good for your age.
So send us your underwear.
Wow. Right after we put the P.O. box out there. Way to go, Lauren.
I'm kidding. So basically, she would end up making a police statement. She would not get charged anything. I was initially really annoyed about it, and I don't think she's a good person. I think she put her daughter at risk. However, I even watched a YouTube video. A good thing to look up after you watch the documentary on this is Penn Jillette.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
He did a video responding to this documentary.
Right.
And there were certain parts of the documentary that annoyed me. So, like, for instance, after Tom killed Brian, there was, like, a psychologist there who was talking about how he tapped into his inner Marine, and he killed him just how a Marine would. And it's like, dude, he walked up with a rifle to an unsuspecting guy sitting in his truck and shot 3 times into his window. It was like anybody, he's not a badass. Like, chill out.
No. He
So,
didn't
like,
snipe him from the hill,
things like
200
that,
yards.
Things like that. And the documentary almost like, I almost feel like it glorified Tom a little bit and like took, like, and it was, you're hearing his point of view the whole time, which is annoying because, like,
well, I'm sure he agreed to it with certain terms.
right.
Lauren,
And he almost seemed happy with himself. Like, I just didn't, like, the guy just wanted to punch him the whole fucking time through this documentary. And the documentary put it's seemingly almost all of the blame on Sheila. And
that's bullshit.
She was a major part of it, no doubt about it.
Yeah, but she didn't pull the trigger, man.
However, she did not pull the trigger, and there were times when Tom was threatening Brian on the internet, and she was not feeding into that. She was saying, "Why would you do that? Don't do that." She was not. She didn't. She never crossed that line where she egged him on to kill or harm anybody.
Right.
She really didn't do that. She would push them to the point where they wanted to harm each other, but she would never say to do it. So, I don't know. I initially had that feeling, and then when I watched Penn Jillette talk about it and getting pissed off about it, and I was thinking, you know what? People do this kind of stuff on the internet every day, and people don't shoot each other over it. You know?
No.
People are acting like other people. People are like intentionally trying to agitate other people.
It's kind of understood now. This day and age, it's understood. It's understood that half the shit you read on the internet is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it and you're like, okay, yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You check your sources. It's just something that's become part of our culture now. Like we know. But in 2005, internet only been around for what, 10 years?
Yeah.
10, 11 years maybe?
I mean, a major part of people's lives since the early 2000s. We talked a lot about it in the Kipland episode where the internet really blew up in the late 90s to early 2000s. So like 2000, 2001, 2002, that's when it started becoming a major part of people's lives in their household. Everybody had a computer with the internet connection.
Exactly.
So you're talking 5, 6, 7 years maybe.
And you're also talking about an older generation of people as well.
Yes,
They've
where they
lived-
don't know how to handle it.
Right. They lived the majority of their life with no internet.
Yeah, 46 and a 47-year-old.
Right.
So
And then-
up until they were 40, it wasn't a major part of their life at all. And all of a sudden they have
That's
this
probably safe to say,
amazing
yeah.
thing to their disposal, and they're getting up there, and they have more time to just sit around and do nothing because they're, you know, she's a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
She's got time. Her daughter's already 18 and going off, you know, graduating, so she's got time. Her husband's working.
Yeah, he's a late 40-year-old man, midlife crisis, nothing going for him.
Exactly.
Feels like, and just comes home every night.
It's all in perspective because the way I would look at it if I were him, it's like I've got everything going for me. I've got a job, I've got a wife, I've got 2 daughters. He didn't look at it that way. He was
But it's only human nature. When you have, we've talked about this before. When you have something for so long, it eventually becomes the norm, and you want more. Yeah. It's only human nature. I'm not saying that I'm not justifying his actions in any freaking way. There's lots of ways to do more.
Yeah.
There's ways to better yourself in your career. But yeah,
we really don't like to glorify killers. This guy was a piece of shit. Sheila, piece of shit. Now, from a legal stance, I understand not prosecuting her.
Right.
It's the internet, man. I mean, she was definitely egging these people on, but they were adults, and he made his decision to go and harm someone.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, and I like I said, I initially had a feeling like she should have been prosecuted. You may have your opinions about whether she should have been, and that's fine. You know, that's my personal opinion. I understood they didn't have a legal ground to stand on because she really didn't tell him to do anything. He went and did it on his own accord.
I mean, what would you get her with?
She basically was playing mind games with dudes on the internet. There's girls that do that every day.
Yeah.
You know, one of the dudes took it too far. You know, and
It happens.
And so her husband there was actually some karma that came around though. So she didn't get out of this whole thing scot-free.
Right.
Her husband ended up divorcing her over it, and her daughter cut ties with her. So she lost her real world. She lost her husband. She lost her daughter. She would end up moving in with relatives in Virginia, where she started attending colleges. She took classes at a community college in West Virginia. She has spoken publicly about the deadly love triangle just once to the BBC. Quote from her: "It was stupid. It should have never happened. I just thought it never would go anywhere." And I think that's about the best way we can end this. We've given our thoughts on it, our opinions. I understand if you feel like she should have been held responsible. Totally get it. That's how I initially felt. You know, but the more when I really try to think about it practically, like, she didn't pull the trigger.
She didn't pull the trigger,
She didn't tell him to pull the trigger.
She's not an accessory. She never told him to. She never planned it.
Yeah.
She had no idea it was happening at the
Right.
time it happened. And,
And he'd already made
not
empty
at fault.
threats in the past and not done anything, and then he just actually did it one day.
yeah. But like I said, catfishing was, I think, still fairly new to a
Yeah.
lot of people at that time.
Yeah.
And it was just a very brutal learning curve. I hate to put it that way.
There were some victims along the way
There
for
were
people to
some,
learn,
yeah.
definitely.
It's a harsh way to put it, but it's what happened.
Yep. And so I had fun with that one. It was a good time. You want to get
absolutely.
into some, if you want to stick around, we're going to give some props to some people, some shout outs. I'm going to start out with a couple of special shout outs to people. We got Ryan Mooney in Scotland.
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
Scotland.
What's up, Ryan's co-workers?
Mothers and Brothers of Scotland. I don't know how it goes.
that's
he's saying
terrible.
Braveheart.
Yeah.
Freedom.
move on.
Freedom. He's been sharing the show with all of his coworkers in Scotland. I want to go there, man. It looks beautiful.
It is.
So-
It's probably our homeland.
What up, Ryan and co over in Scotland? And Summer Garcia, big shout out to you.
Yeah,
She's
I think it's Summer.
Summer,
Probably.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Summer. I called you Adam on Facebook because you and your husband got a joint name.
Those two requested special shout outs. She's a new Patreon person. We were going to save the Patreon shout outs for Patreon episodes, but she asked for a special one. She gets one.
Oh, wow. That's all it takes?
Yeah. Also, to Render for giving us a suggestion on a merch website that we're going to try and start using. We're going to start setting up a new merch page because we did the Teespring thing. We weren't completely happy with how that whole thing went.
Yeah, I apologize for that, guys. We do because we didn't know it was going to take so long to get the merchandise.
No one wants to buy a shirt and have to wait a month to get it.
Hell no.
You know, so those of you that were patient and actually waited it out,
Thank you.
Thank you. But we're going to set up a store. We're going to try and use the website that Terender told us about. We're going to try and set up some stuff. We've got some cool designs. So if you're looking to get a True Crime Guys shirt with Creeper Van or with our other design with the Making Murder Charming, that'll be available to you pretty soon. Also,
get mugs back out there.
Mugs. I definitely want to get some mugs out there.
Oh, also in stickers. We still have the regular stickers too, guys.
We have a ton.
Donation of whatever. We bought some more, so we still have those.
We have a ton. We have like
Creep Band
200 plus regular Creep Band stickers, not the gold ones for Patreon people. We've got plenty of those too if you become a $5 Patreon person. But we've got a ton of just regular ones. If you want to just send us a couple bucks, we'll send you some regular Creep Band stickers so you can stick them to whatever, spread them around, give them to friends, spread the show.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Wine and Crime Pod, who happened to put out an episode on the same episode we're doing that we just did.
Perfect.
It just, it happens sometimes. I wanted to bring that up. It seems like lately, there's a lot of true crime podcasts and there's a lot of parallel thinking, and we happen to just coincidentally put out an episode. It's the same as someone just put out. Don't think anybody ripped anybody off. I never think that
So if you
way.
want to learn some more about it, maybe they got some stuff we didn't know and stuff like that. So go check them out.
Exactly. You can't lose. I mean,
That's right.
you can hear different takes on it.
More information.
Yep. You got some shout outs. We're going to do a little.
Yeah.
I want to say quickly, thank everyone that's gone and rate and reviewed on iTunes. Big time. Thank you, guys. Even the 1-2-star one that was actually pretty hilarious.
You should pull that up. We'll read
shit
that in a
all
minute.
over us. Well, yeah, we'll read that at the end. We'll read that.
Yeah, you guys got to hear that.
But all the 5 stars have been tremendous. Thank you, guys. Because we haven't recorded like a regular episode and given iTunes shout outs in a couple weeks, there's so many that I just want to say thank you in general. We're not going to read all of them. However, we've never read the Stitcher the Stitcher.
Yeah,
reviews.
we've never done Stitchers. We got a few of them.
We've got 5 Stitcher reviews. So if you guys listen on Stitcher, I know there's not a ton of people who listen on Stitcher, but if you happen to, you can rate and review us on there as well. So we're going to go ahead and read those 5 reviews because we've left Stitcher out for so long.
Cool.
So Michael's got them.
So we got Marcy May. She left a 5-star review. She said, "Fun show. Love listening to you guys. Thanks for doing this." Jeremiah Never, who's reached out on multiple platforms.
Yeah, Jeremiah's cool.
He's actually a patron as well, I believe. He said 5 stars. He said, "Great podcast. It just keeps getting better." Let's see. K Kaiser 719 said, "Awesome. Love listening to you guys during work. I now have 3 amazing true crime podcasts." Sherlocked. That's a cool name. 5-star. Said, "Great show." And what's the last one here? Scarlet 78 said 5-star, and it was one of the best. "I'm a true crime junkie, and I love podcasts. These guys are great." All that good stuff. All those lies she's spreading about us.
Right. So let's, you want to go to Bean Genius real quick? Bean Genius.
Being genius.
We're still sponsored by Bean Genius. And if you listen to this and you love coffee, which I'm sure you do, go over to beangenius.com. You can do their flavor flight. They will send you 3 different coffees to try and give feedback on, and you can submit the feedback to them.
Right. And they're all great coffees, honestly.
Oh my God. Yeah. We tried the flavor flight and we loved all 3 of them. There was one that we chose. It was awesome. And they're going to be sending us monthly coffee, and that's what you can become a member and do the flavor flight. And you can do that, or you can just go to their website. They've got pages and pages of high-end, top-notch coffee. And if you go and buy any coffee on beangenius.com, you type in Creeper at checkout, you save 10%. Yeah. And they give us a little kickback if you guys buy coffee through them, so it'd help us out.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So beangenius.com.
Being genius. You got the. All right, so let's do the iTunes review now.
All right. I'm going to look it up.
Itching to do it. I got it right here if you want me to.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So it's from EVH909.
Not to like entice you guys into wanting to go and give us bad reviews, but I just found this
this
one
one's just too much.
particularly
man. We had to
funny.
read it.
Yeah.
Okay. EVH909 from the US. They said, "Just okay. 2 stars. 15 minutes of self-adulation followed by corny inside jokes while telling the stories. Giggling 12-year-olds and I can only picture them reading from Wikipedia with their pants at their ankles, eating s'mores, passing the flashlight back and forth." Holy fuck.
I know, right? It really paints an image, man. I pictured us like with a blanket over us, the flashlight with Wikipedia under there, and just s'mores going.
I mean, that is how we started, in all fairness.
Yeah. But I mean, we've grown. Like, we don't just. I mean, Wikipedia is one of very few.
Oh, I meant with the s'mores and the flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Babe, where's my s'mores?
S'mores?
I never know what she's doing back there. Wikipedia we refer to occasionally, but we usually, Wikipedia is most of the time the shit's wrong.
Lauren, it's okay. We don't have to defend
Why'd
ourselves.
you do that, man?
We got tons of awesome people.
Yeah. So if you're rating us good or bad, it's all good. Thank you for all the support we get. We really appreciate it. And you got any more to add to this? We will be back next week with another free episode.
Yes, we will.
You can go listen to our Gacy episode on patreon.com/True Crime Guys. We never mentioned where you can go. I mean, there's been a link.
Yeah.
There's links everywhere. You go to our website, truecrimeguys.com. There's a link there.
Yep.
Our last episode, it'll have it in there. We'll put a link in this episode on the description. So
yeah.
It's patreon.com/True Crime Guys. You can go on there. There's different rewards you can get for becoming a member.
Yeah, it almost sucks that you have to pay to hear it, though, because I really want them to hear it.
I get it.
I really want them to hear it. It was a really good episode of ours, and I just wish you all could hear it. We understand that people can't give. I don't think I've supported a podcast ever.
Right.
I can barely support this one.
Yeah.
So we totally get it.
We ain't mad at you.
No, but
we're just trying to wet our beak a bit for all the work we put in.
You should make friends with people who are Patreons and then listen to it on their phone.
Hey, if you can find a way to cheat the system,
that's all
by
good.
all means.
We want you to hear it.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Thanks everyone, and with that, we will see you next week.
We will. And keep creeping.
Keep creeping.